Good afternoon, estimated members of a one-time specialized academic council, dear candidate, and all present. It is 2 p.m. Kiev time, and I kindly ask all participants to check the quality of a video and sound connection. Following the procedure of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and revocation of a decision of a one-time specialized academic council of a higher educational institution or research institution on awarding a degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by Resolution number 44 of a Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, date January 12, 2022, and based on the decision of Academic Council of Krok University, date March 26, 2026, protocol number 7, as well as the Rector Order of Krok University, date March 31, 2026, order number 33 and 1, a one-time specialized academic council was established. This council is authorized to review and conduct the defense of a dissertation of Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusa of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration in specialty 073 Management. This is following composition. Chair of a council, Professor Irina Migus, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor of a Financial and Economic Security Management Department at the Krok University. Reviewer, Associate Professor Elena Belova, PhD in Economics, Associate Professor of a Marketing and Behavioral Economics Department at the Krok University. Official opponents. Professor Elena Doronina, Doctor of Science in Economics, Head of Management and Behavioral Economic Department, Vasil-Stus, Donetsk National University. Professor Elena Grishnova, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor at the Department of Enterprises Economics, Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev. Professor Galina Zakharshin, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor at the Department of Human Resource Management and Administration, Lviv Polytechnic National University. Notification ID 12/8/28 regarding the formation of a one-time council was published on the website of National Agency on April 4, 2026 at 16 and 33 minutes. According to the attendance registration card, 5 members of a one-time specialized academic council are present at the meeting. All 5 council members attended online, which complies this clause 25 of a procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, which states that members of a one-time council and the PhD student may participate in the council meeting using real-time video conferencing tools. Using the Teams application as a video conferencing tool for the council meeting is proposed, as it ensures the resolution of all procedural issues for the defense. Who support this proposal, please vote. We will vote by hands. In favor. All council member, please. Okay. Again, please. Okay. Thank you. Against? No. The decision is adopted by a majority vote. I kindly request permission for the presence of the following members of a council attending online to be confirmed by the signature of a council chair on the attendance registration card. Associate Professor Elena Belova, could you please confirm if you permit me to do this sign?
I permit.
Thank you. Professor Elena Dorodina, could you please confirm if you permit me to do this sign?
Yes, I confirm.
Thank you. Professor Elena Grishnova, could you please confirm if you permit me to do this sign?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Professor Galina Zakharchin, could you please confirm if you permit me to do this sign?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Given the full attendance, we have a quorum and we can proceed this meeting. The meeting of a one-time Special Academic Council is declared open. On the agenda is the defense of a dissertation by Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusi, submitted for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management Administration, specialty 073 Management. The dissertation topic is Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration, and Adaptation. The academic advisor is Professor Irina Petrova, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor of the Marketing and Behavioral Economic Department at the Krok University. Dear colleagues, are there any proposal or objection regarding this agenda? Please vote to approve this agenda. Who in favor? Okay, thank you. Against? No. The decision is adopted by measure vote. I would like to note that a PhD student has submitted all the necessary documents following the regulation on the procedure for avoiding the defense of Doctor of Philosophy and revoking the decision of the one-time Specialized Academic Council of the Krok University regarding the awaiting of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy. These documents comply with the establishing requirements. The dissertation in printed and electronic formats, copies of scientific publication reflecting the scientific result of a dissertation, except from the protocol of a department meeting, this proposal regarding the composition of a one-time Specialized Academic Council, consent of proposed reviewers and opponents to participate on the work of a one-time Specialized Academic Council, a report on the result of academic plagiarism check of a dissertation manuscript, an academic certificate on the completion of educational and scientific program, a conclusion from the academic advisor, a conclusion on the scientific novelty, theoretical and practical significance of a dissertation result. Please allow me to provide you this with some information about the doctoral candidate, Liyusi Tagikіланідамаванді. She was born in 1977. In 2003, she obtained a master's degree in journalism at Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. She has accumulated vast professional experience while working as a specialist in higher education, public relations, leadership, consulting, and professional coaching. This gave her an opportunity to consider important problem in terms of organization culture, employer engagement, inclusion, adaptation, and resilience. From October 22 and currently, she is a candidate on the field education and scientific level of higher education, Doctor of Philosophy degree, in a full-time from of study at the Management Technology Department at the Krok University in the field of knowledge 07 Management Administration, specialty 073 Management. The dissertation topic, as I mentioned earlier, was approved by the Academic Council of the Krok University, Protocol number 3, dated December 15/2022 and later revise protocol number 4 December 18, 2025. Information regarding the acceptance of a dissertation for consideration, the electronic version of a dissertation, and these were candidates, qualified electronic signature, their conclusion on the scientific novelty, the theoretical and practical significance of a dissertation result, official opponents' reviews, and the reviewer's report, signed these they qualified electronic signatures, have been published on the official website of Krok University. To announce the academic advisor conclusion, the floor is given to Professor Irina Petrova, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor of the Marketing and Behavioral Economic Department at the Krok University. Please, the floor is yours.
Irina Petrovna, so should I present my conclusion?
A little description of your work with PhD students and your skills and maybe something else, please.
I understand. So, good afternoon, my honored colleagues. And what should I say about this dissertation? And it's also Tagікіланідамаванді Ліюси. This dissertation is absolutely relevant because the problem of corporate culture, its integration, inclusion, adaptation is very needed, both in the theory and in the practice. As a supervisor, I'd like to confirm you that this dissertation is entirely completed. It has a novelty, a practical value, and solid recommendations and propositions. Yes, as Professor Migus said, my full text of conclusion one can see at the Krok University site, but I'd like to say a couple of words about personality of our PhD student. I was very happy to collaborate with Mrs. Liyusa during all process of her preparation to this date. She is a hardworking person. Her three most bright features are hardworking, responsibility, and creativity. She is well qualified, professional, and as you can hear from Professor Migus, Liyusa has a very long list of her contributions and her works both in the theoretical sphere and in practice, because she is a coach, she is a trainer, and so on. And I am deeply convinced that she deserves to be doctor in philosophy, in economy, specialty management, field 7, management and administration. And I kindly ask you to maintain, to support my PhD student because she is very, very professional. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Professor Petrova. And do you have any question for the academic advisor? No? Okay. Thank you. And based on the result of a public presentation of a candidate's report at the meeting of a management technology department at the Krok University, it was concluded that a dissertation by Tagikilанідамаванді Ліюси titled Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration and Adoption is a completed scientific work. The dissertation addressed a relevant scientific task related to the theoretical substantiation and methodological development of a system for transforming corporate culture management based on the principles of inclusion, integration, and adaptability. This research is of significant importance to the field of knowledge, zero-sum management, and administration. The main scientific results of a dissertation are fully reflected in 16 scientific publications. These publications include 7 articles in specialized peer-reviewed scientific journals. 4 of these articles are single author publication, as well as 9 work published in the proceeding of international and national scientific conferences, which confirm the approbation of dissertation material. Taken together, this publication disclose the theoretical foundation, methodological tool, and practical outcomes of a research on corporate culture, transformation, inclusion, and resilience. The candidate's dissertation complies with the requirement of Order Number 40 of the Minister of Education and Science of Ukraine, dates January 12, 2017, on the approval of requirement for dissertation formatting. The style and depth of material presentation allows us to evaluate Tagikilанідамаванді Ліюsi's dissertation as a completed scientific work. The dissertation topic, Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration, and Adaptation, as well as its conclusion and proposition, align the specialty 073 management and the procedure for the training of candidates for higher educational for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Science in higher educational institutions, research institutions, approved by Resolution number 261 of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, date March 23, 2016. Do council members have any question regarding the information I have just presented? No, thank you. The floor is now given to Tagikilанідамаванді Ліюси to present the main provision of a dissertation. The presentation language is English. I remind you that the time limit for the presentation is up to 20 minutes. Please start. Liusa, turn on the microphone.
Sorry for that. Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, dear Chair, distinguished member of the Specialized One-Time Academic Council, respected opponents, reviewer, and my scientific supervisor. In this presentation, I will briefly outline the key contribution, research methodology, and main finding of my dissertation entitled Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration, and Adaptation. The study addressed the challenges of transforming corporate culture management under condition of socioeconomic instability and increasing organizational complexity, particularly in environments affected by crisis and structural change. In the slide 2, this slide presents the general research design and the key conceptual orientation of the study. The purpose of the research was to develop a theoretical and methodological foundation for transforming corporate culture management through the principle of inclusion, integration, and adaptation. The
I'm
objective of
sorry,
the,
dear Liusa, I'm sorry. Could you show this slide number 2? Thank
sorry
you.
for that.
And
Yeah.
yes, and check this, please. Mhm.
Yes. The objective of this transformation is to strengthen organizational resilience and support the integration of veterans into civilian organizational environment, particularly in condition of socio-economic instability. In addition to the purpose of the research, this slide also presents the scientific task, object, and subject of the study. The scientific task was demonstrate to a measurable management system for corporate culture transformation that eliminates the gap between declarative inclusivity and its practical implementation in organization. The object of the research is the purpose of managing corporate culture transformation in dynamic enterprises operating under condition of socioeconomic instability. The subject of the research includes the theoretical and applied principle of corporate culture management transforming through mechanism of inclusion, integration, and adaptation. Now we move to slide 3. This slide outlines the key tasks that were addressed in order to achieve the purpose of the research. First, the study examines corporate culture as a management system focusing on the structure, function, and role in organizational development. Second, classical and contemporary approaches to corporate culture management were analyzed in order to identify their strength and limitation in condition of instability. Third, the research identifies the characteristics of inclusion and adaptation corporate culture, particularly in organizations experiencing structural change. The study then develops methodological approaches for diagnosing corporate culture transformation, including the construction of 4 diagnostics indices: Corporate Environment Index, Resilience Integration Index, Social Environment Index, and Training Effective Index. Finally, empirical research was conducted across 28 Ukrainian organizational units with independent managerial authority, which allowed the validation of the proposed methodological framework and the development of practical recommendation for enterprises. This slide summarizes the key scientific contribution of the dissertation. The scientific novelty is structured in 3 categories: result proposed for the first time, result improved, and result future developed. Among the most important results proposed for the first time in the conceptualization of corporate culture as a managed transformation structure implement through the CIRS model, cultural integration and inclusive resilience system. The research also improves the theoretical understanding of corporate culture management by structuring the principles of inclusion, integration, and adaptability as a systematic governance cycle. In addition, the dissertation develops a diagnostic system for measuring corporate culture transformation based on 4 indices: CEI, RII, SEI, and TEI. The study also proposes a typology of corporate readiness for veteran integration, an algorithm for managing organizational social atmosphere, and a differentiation corporate learning system linked to training effectiveness indicators. This slide presents result 1 of the dissertation. The research validates that under conditions of rapid technological, political, and social change, corporate cultures evolves from the traditional system of shared value and behavioral norms into managed transformation infrastructure. In this approach, corporate culture becomes a strategic governance mechanism that enables organizations to maintain stability, adapt to external shocks, and preserve human capital. The figure on the slide illustrates how inclusive corporate culture, adaptive corporate culture, and organizational resilience integrate within a CIRS governance framework. Slide 6, which complements the previous slide. This slide presents a table illustration, measurable organizational mechanism of corporate culture management. The table demonstrates how corporate culture can be analyzed through practical indicators such as investment in human capital development, corporate social responsibility initiatives, employee engagement indicator. The measurable elements confirm that corporate culture operates not only as a symbolic system, but also as a functional organizational infrastructure influencing company development. Slide 7. This slide presents result 2 of the research. The dissertation demonstrates that the principle of inclusion, integration, and adaptability should function as an interconnected governance cycle rather than the isolated HR initiatives. This principle operates at the same time at 3 levels of corporate culture transformation: system characteristic, functional organization zone, and measurable performance indicators. This structure allows corporate culture to function as a self-reinforcing governance mechanism, enabling continuous improvement and strategic alignment. Slide 8 presents the architecture of the CIRS model. The CIRS model converts abstract cultural values into structured governance systems supported by measurable diagnostic indicators. Within this architecture, corporate culture transformation is supported by organizational mechanisms such as assessment, collaboration, motivation, training, and social atmosphere management. The effectiveness of these processes is evaluated through the 4 diagnostic indices: CEI, RII, SEI, and TEI. Slide 9 presents empirical findings from the survey of 28 organizations. This slide illustrates structural gaps in corporate culture management, including areas where organizations experience difficulties in integration processes, organizational communication, and employee participation. These findings demonstrate the necessity of implementing systematic culture management frameworks such as CIRS model. Slide 10 presents result 3 of the research. The dissertation interprets veteran integration as a dual organization adaptation process. On one side, veterans must adapt to civilian organizational norm and management practices. On the other side, organization must transfer their internal structure, leadership style, communication system, and training mechanism. This dual adaptation transforms veteran integration from a social support initiative into a strategic driver of organizational resilience and knowledge renewal. Slide 11. This slide provides a comparative overview of approaches to veteran integration in different institutional and organizational contexts. The analysis demonstrates that in many international practices, veteran integration is treated as strategies organizational development process rather than only social support initiatives. The comparison highlights how effective system integrate multiple elements all at once, including structured training program, leadership development pathways, psychological support mechanism, and organizational learning process. The comparative analysis confirmed that the integration of veterans can fundamentally contribute to organizational knowledge renewal and resilience, particularly in environments experimenting structural change. Slide 12 presents result 4 of the research, which process a conceptual model linking corporate culture transformation with wider organizational development factors. The model includes 5 structural dimensions: innovation capacity, digital maturity, human capital development, social inclusion, governance quality. Together, this diminution position corporate culture not only as a social phenomenon, but also as a strategic organizational resource that influence competitiveness, resilience, and long-term development. Slide 13 illustrates the economic impact of human capital investment. This slide demonstrates how investment in employee development, training system, and knowledge transfer contribute to organizational productivity and innovation capacity. The figure highlights the relationship between corporate culture development and economic performance, emphasizing that human capital investment strengthens both organizational adaptability and competitiveness. Slide 14 introduces result 5 of the dissertation, which is the development of the diagnostic architecture that allows corporate culture transformation to be measured quantitatively. The CIRS diagnostic system integrates 4 indices: Corporate Culture Environment Index, CEI, Resilience Integration Index, RII, Social Environment Index, SEI, Training Effectiveness Index, TEI. Together, these indicators create a structured diagnostic framework that enables organizations to identify risk, monitor cultural transformation, and support evidence-based managerial decision-making. Slide 15. Present the formulas for calculating the Corporate Environment Index and Resilience Integration Index. The Corporate Environment Index, or CEI, measures the degree to which corporate culture management practices are implemented within the organization. It evaluates how extensively organizational practices relate to inclusion, engagement, and corporate governance are applied. The Resilience Integration Index, or RRI, measures the effectiveness of integration mechanism implemented into organization, particularly those supporting workforce adaptability and organizational resilience under condition of instability. The indices allow organizations to quantify cultural transformation processes that were traditionally considered qualitative phenomena. Slide 16 presents the formulas for calculating the Social Environment Index and the Training Effectiveness Index. The Social Environment Index, or SEI, reflects the quality and the social atmosphere within the organization. It includes indicators such as psychological safety, trust in leadership, cooperation among employees, and the level of interpersonal support. The Training Effective Index, or TEI, measures how effectively training programs contribute to employee competence development, adaptability, and performance improvement. Together, these 4 indices for the core diagnostic mechanism of the CIRS model. Slide 17 presents result 6 of the research, which introduces a classification of organization based on their readiness to integrate veterans into corporate environment. The typology is obtained from empirical research conducted across 28 organizational units with independent managerial authority. The illustration on the slide visually demonstrates the conceptual structure of this typology, showing how organization can be differentiated according to the maturity of the integration mechanism and training system. The classification allows organization to identify their current level of integration readiness and determine appropriate managerial strategy. Slide 18. The table on the slide summarizes the distribution of organization according to their level of readiness for employee participation based on the presence of corporate policies, training resources, and managerial support. As shown in the table, the largest group of organization demonstrates structural readiness, representing about 43% of the sample, while the significant proportion of companies still operate with limited or absent integration mechanism. The finding highlights the uneven level of organizational readiness for employee participation and integration across the analyzed companies. Slide 19. The table on this slide compresses organizational units with and without inclusion policies. Based on the survey data from 28 organizational units with independent managerial authority. As shown in the table, units with formal inclusion policies demonstrate higher level of cultural alignment, managerial training, and recognition of the business impact of corporate culture. This comparison illustrates how the presence of structured inclusion policies is associated with stronger organizational alignment and management practices. Slide 20. This slide presents result 7 of the dissertation, which introduced a structured managerial approach for improving organizational social climate. The alignment consists of 5 step-by-step stages. 1, diagnosis of organizational social environment. 2, identification of risk zone. 3, design of targeted intervention. 4, implementation of corrective action. 5, monitoring and reassessment. The approach allowed the organizational social atmosphere to be treated as a manageable resources that support trust, cooperation, and psychological safety. Slide 21 presents the calculation logic of the Social Environment Index. The formula integrates several key indicators: psychological safety, trust in leadership and colleagues, cooperation, and mutual assistance among employees. The aggregated value of these indicators provide a measurable representation of the social climate within organization. Slide 22 presents result 8 of the research. A differentiated system of corporate learning designed to integrate veterans into knowledge transfer process and managerial development pipelines. The proposed model differentiates organizational learning system according to their structural maturity and integration capacity. As illustrated on the slide, 3 levels of learning system are identified. The first level is an advanced learning system where organizations have structured training programs, leadership development pipelines, and integrated competency management mechanism. The second level represents fragmented learning system where training initiatives exist but remain isolated and are not systematically connected with organizational development process. The third level is basic learning system where formal training structure are largely absent, creating higher adaptation risk for employees and particularly for veterans entering civilian organization. An important feature of this model is the integration of the Training Effectiveness Index, or TEI, into managerial performance indicators, which enables organization to evaluate how training contributes to competence development, adaptability, and workforce integration. Slide 23 is the training and development strategies based on CIRS diagnostic segmentation. The illustration on the slide shows how training strategies can be aligned with the level of organizational learning system maturity identified through the CIRS diagnostic. Organizations with advanced system focus on leadership development and knowledge transfer, while organizations with fragmented or basic system should concentrate on strengthening training structure and integrating learning initiatives. The segmentation allows organizations to implement targeted development strategies that support workforce integration and adaptability. Slide 24 presents result 9 of the research, the development of the new class of motivational instrument within CIRS framework. Traditionally, employee motivation in organization has often been evaluated mainly through indicators of job satisfaction or employee morale. However, the approaches proposed
Dear PhD students, something wrong with your sound? I think some technical problems. We can wait some minutes. It's Kiev after yesterday. Yes, I think some problem with electricity. We can wait some minutes. But I think she can connect to us.
Should I call her?
Mhm. I called to her and she told she has a little problem with internet. I hope we can wait.
Okay, hello everyone. You see me, you don't see me. You don't see me. Okay, just a moment. Can you see me now?
No.
I'm back, I'm not back, not yet.
You're back, but we can see. You need to turn on your camera.
Okay. Okay, I'm back. Okay, where did you everyone lose me? On which slide?
No, I think it's enough for your presentation, and we
I
can.
just want to. Okay, it's like the slide, it's just the 27. I can go jump to slide 27 and conclusion, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the slide 27 is the strategies of CRA training strategies implementation at Bacon Energy. As you can see, I won't go over it all. The pilot implementation demonstrates that the CRS approaches can effectively support knowledge transfer, leadership development, and workforce integration within organization. So the next slide, it's to summarize the practical contribution of the study, actually. And the conclusion is the dissertation achieves its main objective by developing the theoretical, methodological, and practical frameworks of transforming corporate culture management. The research demonstrates that corporate culture can function as a measurable and strategically managed organizational system. The CIRS model provides an integrated architecture for diagnosing cultural transformation, classifying organizational readiness, and implementing targeted managerial intervention. Empirical validation conducted across Ukrainian organizational units confirmed that the practical adaptability and effectiveness of the proposed approaches. So that was my conclusion, and this concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention and interest, and I will be pleased answer any question and entering any discussion.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop sharing. If you
Show
don't mind,
please.
you can-
Show please the first slide, yes, or maybe off. No. You can off your presentation. It's no problem. No. Off. It will be better.
I can. Okay, I can stop sharing, right? Okay.
Yeah. You can stop
Okay,
sharing.
perfect.
And we have some question to you, and the floor is given to Associate Professor Elena Belova for her questions, please.
Thank you, Professor Migos. Two questions for the author. First is, could the author elaborate on how the proposed model could be implemented in real organizational practice, particularly in relations to strategic planning process, KPI systems, and HR management practices? And question number two is that your dissertation proposed diagnostic indices for assessing corporate culture transformation, and could you please comment on how this methodology relates to some existing international approaches to organizational culture assessment?
Okay, understood. Thank you for your question. So I'm going to go with your first answer. As I mentioned earlier, the CIR's approach does not only constitute a theoretical framework, rather is also a practical managerial instrument that can find its application in many situations. For instance, it can be applied as a tool of strategy planning. The objective settings process includes not only those concerning corporate culture management, but also inclusion, adaptation, resilience, and employee training. Also, at the same time, the diagnostic indices suggested within this model includes in any system of KPIs, which will be aimed at the monitoring of employees, engagement, inclusion level, the quality of communication, adaptability, and employee training. Actually, in the, let's say, in the nature of HR management, the model might prove useful of recruiting, integrating training, evaluation, performance, and so on. So that's the first question. And the second question, as you were asking, like relate to existing international approaches. Again, thank you for your question. Actually, the development approach involves application of internationally recognized techniques for assessing organization culture that have been proposed by such theories as Sheen, Denishin, and Cameron and Queen. However, in most cases, they are concerned with the description and evaluation of organizational culture only. In turn, the CIRS system provides additional components for management of corporate culture. So That's basically what I would answer to your two questions. I mean, this CIR is just like it gives them actually a better decision. Therefore, present the CIR approach can be existing technique to addressing issue related to uncertainty, adaptation, and resilience, and etc.
Are you satisfied with this answer?
Thank you.
Thank you. Dear council members, I will ask you ask the question step by step. The first question and answer, and the second question and answer. I think it will be better for our PhD students.
Yes.
And the floor is given to Professor Olena Doronina, please.
Thank you, but Olga, not Elena. It's okay, yes. Thank you, Luis, for your presentation, and I also have, it's possible 2 questions. The first one is about slide 24. You quite right emphasize the need to introduce a new class of motivational instruments. Could you please explain how this should fundamentally differ from traditional motivation practice currently used in business now?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Actually, the main difference between the old and new approaches is that traditional means of motivation depends mostly on financial initiatives and fast result. At the same time, the instruments offered by CIRS contribute sustainable inclusion, adaptation, and organizational resilience. The mentioned instrument includes actually mentoring programs, peers assistance, connection of non-mandatory achievements, professional integration of veterans, contributes education and initiatives aimed at fostering the feeling to identity and purpose among employees. So the objectives of this achievement is to achieve a higher employee performance along with increased commitment, adaptability, loyalty, and social connection.
Thank you. And if it's possible, I have a second question, and it's about slide 16, about your social environment index. You include in this index indicators such as a number of positive social environment practice. Please comment how to determine which of these practices can be considered as the best.
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, under the CIRS system, social environment practices are evaluated based on their true contribution to the organization and not on the basis of the number of the practices. Actually, in addition, the most effective practices will positively contribute to factors such as employee involvement, trust, communication, inclusivity, retraining employees, and organizational adaptability. So some examples of the effective practices include mentorship program, feedback system, team building, mental well-being initiatives, and inclusivity of the practices. So performance measure for these practices includes change in social environment index, as well as employees' response obtained during surveys and other metrics related to organizational performance.
Thank you very much for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you satisfied? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the floor is given to Professor Olena Grishnova for your question, please.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I have some short questions for you. The both is to your main contribution, cultural integration and inclusive resilience system. The first question is, how does the CIIRS model balance strict management metrics with the organic nature of culture as a living entity?
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, the concept of culture as a transformation infrastructure managed process, or as you said, a living entity, are going hand in hand. So rather than contradict each other, culture continues to be living and changing phenomenon that is affected by human integration and organizational learning. So the aim of using the CIRS system is not to mechanize culture, to take away from its organic nature. Instead, the idea is to improve managers to understand cultural processes better and manage culture positivity. So the indices are going to be used as a signal and not as a rigid mechanism of controlling an organic process.
Thank you. That's a clear explanation. The second question is about industry specificity. Does the hierarchy of weighting of the CIIRS indices change depending on the specific industry, such as the energy or education, for example?
Okay, thank you again for such a nice question. Certainly. The four CRS indicators remain an integral part of the unified system of diagnostics. So the significance of the factors could depend on the characterize and priorities of the industry. In the case of organization, let's say from the energy sector, such qualities as resilience and adaptability could have higher priority, since they are characterized by significant risk and changes in the situation. But at the same time, the factor of social environment and inclusiveness could play an essential role in educational institution because of the necessity of communication and cooperation.
Thank you. I am satisfied.
Oh, thank you very much. And floor is given to Professor Galina Zakharchin for your question, please.
Thank you. Dear Liyusi, two questions. The first, explain your understanding of corporate culture as a dynamic system.
Okay, thank you for your question. From my perspective, actually, corporate culture can be viewed as a dynamic system which evolves and changes to its internal and external influences. It does not remain statistic, rather is an integral elements of an organization that evolves based on leadership style, organizational interaction, learning, technology, and the environment in which organization actually function. So the concept of a dynamic culture implies its ability to adapt to changes, changes like circumstances, which eventually have an impact on human behavior and decision-making process. So this understanding formed the basis of my research and the development of the CIRS system.
Okay, the second, what do you mean by the term transformation process of corporate culture?
Thank you again for your question. In the context of corporate culture, transformational processes refer to deliberate changes in organizational value, behaviors, management practices, communication patterns, and social interactions aimed at improving organizational effectiveness and sustainability, right? So with the framework of the study, transformation should not be viewed as a one-time action, but rather as a a continuous process through which organization develop higher levels of inclusion, integration capacity, adaptability, and also resilience.
It's okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Are you satisfied? Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I have a question to you. Also, I have two questions. The first is, why did you select exactly 4 diagnostic indicates CAI, RII, SEI, and TEI to evaluate corporate culture transformation, and also how do they complement each other?
And so thank you very much for your question. So this 4 indices have been chosen specifically to develop an integrated system that can diagnose corporate culture changes. So the Corporate Culture Environment Index, the CEI, as you mentioned, deals with inclusiveness and a general atmosphere within the organization. The RII index is concerned with adaptability and resilience. CEI examines communication and integration. So the Training Effective Index, CEI, focus on learning and adaptation. So in total, the 4 indices give composite measurement of corporate culture in 3 dimensions. The use of the 4 indices, it appropriate since for the transformation of corporation, it is important to have characterized such as inclusiveness, resilience, integration, and learning abilities.
Okay. And my next question.
Yes.
What do you consider to be the main practical contribution of your framework for organization operating in contemporary condition?
Okay. Thank you again for this beautiful question. Actually, one of the most valuable application of the CIRS system is that it transforms corporate culture from a theoretical concept to a practical tool for managing culture. So this system provides organization with a set of diagnostic techniques for identifying the advantages and the disadvantages of their culture, understanding how it evolves, and implementing strategies that can enhance inclusivity, adaptability, resilience, and employee compatibility. So this become particularly relevant during turbulent periods like now, when the shortage of personnel and rapid changes actually occurs on a day-to-day basis. So therefore, the CIRS system is valuable since it's enable managers to use empirically proven tools for fostering continuous organizational development and improving not only productivity, but also social integration.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers. And also, we will go to the next part of our meeting. And I think we will discuss the feedback on dissertation from reviewer and opponents. And the floor is given to the reviewer, internal reviewer from Krok University, Associate Professor Alina Belova, PhD in Economics, Associate Professor of Marketing and Behavioral Economic Department, Krok University. Please, the floor is yours.
Professor Petrova, first of all, I want to say that Liyusa Tagikilani has chosen significant topic for her research, and it is transformation of corporate culture management, inclusion, integration, and adaptation. And of course, this dissertation topic is relevant due to different ongoing changes in corporate culture management caused by such reasons as digitalization, globalization, and increasing uncertainty. And of course, modern organizations nowadays, they need new approaches to inclusion, integration and adaptation. And these issues, of course, are especially important for Ukrainian companies operating in a period of economic transformation and recovery. And therefore, their dissertation has both academic and practical significance. And of course, the dissertation was compliant in accordance with the approved research plans of Krok University. The analysis also showed that the scientific provision, conclusions and recommendations are sufficiently substantiated, reliable, and contain element of scientific novelty. Also, the work has both theoretical and practical significance for the development of corporate culture management in unstable conditions. And their dissertation results, they were tested at international and national scientific and practical conferences, and of course, they are sufficiently reflected in the author's publications. The analysis of the structure and content of the dissertation showed that the work met the established requirements. And of course, along with all strengths of this work, the dissertation contains some discussion issues and shortcomings. Number one, in chapter 1, the author explains why classical models of corporate culture limited in crisis and unstable conditions and shows a need for an integrative transformational approach. However, the dissertation does not provide a systematic comparison of how corporate culture transformation works in stable conditions and crisis conditions. Number 2, in chapter 1, also, the author provides a solid analysis of approaches to corporate culture and presents it in a dynamic system. And however, the difference between corporate culture and corporate culture management is not always explained clearly enough. Number 3, that in chapter 2, the author presents the results of a survey of 22 Ukrainian enterprises and interprets them analytically. However, the text does not explain clearly enough how the sample was formed and how the companies were clarified by adaptability level. Number 4, in chapter 2, so the author describes the proposed diagnostic indices in detail. And however, their comparison with existing, as I told, international tools for assessing organizational culture is rather limited. In chapter 3, the author describes the instruments for corporate cultural transformation and their practical implementation in detail. However, the difference between strategic measures like long-term directions and system changes, and also tactical actions like specific programs and also particular implementation tools, it is not always clearly shown. In chapter 3, the author presents the cultural integration and inclusion resilience system as a tool for managing corporate cultural transformation. And the model includes diagnostic indicators and practical managerial tools. However, the work doesn't explain in enough detail how this model can be integrated into existing corporate systems. And in chapter 3, also the author justifies the managerial usefulness of proposed model and presents positive implementation results in Ukrainian companies. But economic side of implementation is presented mostly at conceptual level, and the dissertation does not include a separate calculation of implementation costs of a quantity assessment of economic return. And dissertation in general, of course, meet established requirements, but there are some little improvements in terms of formatting and structural consistency. But however, these discussion issues do not reduce the overall positive assessment of the dissertation, of its scientific value, relevance, or practical significance. And the dissertation meets the established requirements, and its author, Liyusa Tagikіланідамаванді, deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Management. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your review, and I would ask our candidate to provide answer for these comments, please.
I would like to thank the official reviewer, candidate of economic science and associate professor Olena Ihe.
Again, something wrong with our sound. Professor Petrova, maybe you can call her.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll do it. She will be here soon.
We can wait.
Hello again.
Hello.
Yeah, for some reason my teams are not cooperating today with me. It's like hanging there all the time. I try to close the program open, but for some reason doesn't work. Yeah, sorry for that. So we're gonna get back until where you actually were able to. I was on my response, right?
Right, but turn on your camera.
I
Again,
already turned
please.
it on, but yeah, let's try again.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see me, right? For some reason, doesn't know.
No.
Yeah, you can see that.
Do it like Professor Petrova before.
Leave
Out.
us and then join us.
Yes.
Yeah, I left. I came back for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Give me another time. I'm gonna just leave and come back again and see if it works. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm back. Yes.
It's better.
Sorry for
Yeah.
that. For some
Continue,
reason,
please.
the technology today doesn't want to
We
cooperate with
understand,
me.
but continue.
Okay, so we're gonna get back. I was on my respond, right?
Yes,
or-
answer the
Okay, the
review
review. Okay.
comment, please.
So
Mhm.
thank you, respected reviewer, for making such an important remark. Indeed, the analysis could have been improved through the compression between the processes of transforming corporate culture under the condition of stability and under the condition of crisis. However, it is necessary to emphasize that the main purpose of this dissertation was to create an effective managerial tool in items of long-term instability, uncertainty, and post-crisis changes. So the dissertation proves that traditional approaches to managing corporate culture were created under the condition of relative stability in organization, and those cannot be used to solve problems related to social instability, labor shortage, veteran integration, and adaptation to new condition. In order to cope with all the above mentioned issue, the CIRS approach was invented as a holistic system integrating all this aspect into one concept of corporate culture management. Therefore, the novelty of the proposed methodology consists in moving from the more description of corporate culture to its understanding as a managed transformation infrastructure, allowing diagnosing and implementing organizational changes. I have also a response to the remark number 4. Also, again, thank you, respected reviewer, for your valuable remark. While I agree that the practical roles of training, motivation, and organizational environment could have been described in more detail, it should be noted that one of the key aims of the dissertation was to transform this aspect from purely qualitative once into management variable within the framework of CIRS. In the suggested model, training efficiency is measured using a TEI, quality of the organization environment by SEI, corporate inclusion by CEI, and organizational adaptability by RII. These matrices actually provides quantitative measurement of effectiveness and can serve as a basis for evaluating and improving managerial initiatives. Therefore, training, motivation, and organizational environment should not be considered separate HR practices, but rather components of an overall corporate culture management approaches designed to develop organizational resilience, inclusion, and sustainability. And I agree with the other remarks of the respected reviewer and will take them into consideration in my future research.
Thank you, Ms. Liusi.
Thank you for your response. Dear reviewer, are you satisfied?
Yes, sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you. The floor is given to the opponent, Professor Olga Doronina, Doctor of Science in Economics, Head of Management and Behavioral Economic Department, Vasil Stus Donetsk National University, please.
Dear colleagues, first of all, allow me to express my gratitude to opportunity to review such a timely and interesting dissertation. My review as official opponent has been prepared in accordance with requirements and posted on the university's official website within the established deadlines. Please allow me to headline the main points. The dissertation, Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration, and Adaptation, aligns with current trends in the development of management science and is both relevant and timely. The scientific work contains confirmed elements of scientific novelty. In my opinion, the most significant achievement of the dissertations is a conceptually new approach to corporate culture management, which based on the combination of inclusion, integration, and adaptation process as key aspects of an organizational development in condition of social economic instability. And it also includes a conceptual model for management corporate culture transformation process. The practical recommendations presented in Liyusi dissertation are highly relevant and aimed at improving corporate culture management, in changing organization cohesion and effectively integration staff into their work activities. At the same time, it should be noted that the dissertation has a certain shortcoming and discussion points. The first one is, in the dissertation, they also introduced into academic discourse the concept of cultural integration and inclusive resilience system. However, the author's own interpretation of its essence is absent. Furthermore, the author understood the characteristic of organization that allows them to be described as inclusive resilience requires classifications. The second one is, in our opinion, in substation is a CRS principle as a continuous cycle of cultural transformation. In figure 1.3 in page 46 in dissertation, the inclusivity components should be limited solely to psychological safety while overlooking physical safety, especially in context of wartime in Ukraine now. The next one is next. The research is focused on social group of veterans diverse positive assessment. However, we believe that in section 1.3 and 3.3 of the dissertation, the focus should not have been exclusively on process of their integration into CRS, but also their reintegration, given that a proportion of veterans return to their former organization and corporate culture, within which they had already been integrated before their military service. The fourth is one. The second chapter in the dissertation lacks a comparative review of the characteristic features of the corporate culture of enterprise and organization examined by the author. So, the information summarized in table 2.3, economic impact of human capital investment, is in page 89, based on the author's calculations, lacks economic validity as it relies on data from non-comparable periods and enterprise operating in different sectors, such as Naftogaz 2019-2023, Intertype 2021-2023, and Waterhood 2024. The five. The results present in figure 3.1, algorithm of strategy for in charge the social environment in corporate culture management, page 152, and figure 3.6, algorithm of motivation tools implementation within CRS, require sustainable elaboration and reverse visualization form. In the context of the use under investigation, an algorithm should be non-line and represent not merely a sequence of steps, but also their branching, cyclicity, and so on. And the last one is the next. The dissertation would have been stressful if chapter 3 had included an aggregate logical structure diagram of corporate culture management transformation, which would have outlined the direction of such a transformation and stakeholders involved, such as actors factors in the transformation process, recommended management actions, and indicators of progress for such transformation. As conclusions, it should be noted that dissertation meet the criteria for academic work, and as an independent and comprehensive study, the dissertation address a precise academician issue related to contemporary approach to corporate culture management in the context of socio-economic transformation and presents novel scientific findings. The structure and context of the scientific paper fully explore the research topic and corresponding to specialty management. The dissertation generally meets the requirements of Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, and its author, Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusi, deserved to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty management in field knowledge, management, and administration. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your review, and I want to invite PhD students to answer these comments, please. Turn on your microphone.
Turn
Yes.
on your microphone.
Yes, yes,
Liyusi.
yes, yes. Yes, I heard them. Yeah, I'm on. I would like to thank the official opponent, Doctor of Economic Science, Olha Anatolyevna Doronina, for the true work carried out on my dissertation research and for the valuable remarks, recommendation, and suggestion provided. At the same time, some remarks warrant further discussion and therefore require more detailed consideration in the order to sustain my position. So response, I'm going to have a response to remark number 2. Firstly, I want to thank you, the opponent, for such a relevant remark. Indeed, taking into account the context of Ukraine at war, it can be said that physical safety is a vital aspect that contributes to creating a safe and inclusive organizational environment. Despite the fact that throughout the dissertation, special attention is paid to the aspect of psychological safety within the inclusivity component. This should not mean the absence of physical safety in the proposed CIRS model. As part of the CIRS model, the inclusivity concept assumes a multidimensional understanding of this psychological dynamic and psychological aspect that contribute to the inclusion of employee into organizational life. Those physical safety is seen as a precondition for effective inclusion of people in the organizational context. In this connection, one may speak about the complementary nature of psychological and physical aspect related to safety of employees. So those, the proposed model could be future supplemented by indicators associated with the physical safety. And I also like to respond to the remark number 3. Yes, I did think that the further elaboration on the differences between integration and reintegration should be made in future. In the dissertation, in the term integration was used in a generic managerial sense as an inclusion of the veteran into the organizational context and culture. Still, it is necessary to note that there is a significant percentage of veterans who return back to their former workplace. In this regard, it becomes clear that reintegration might be seen as a practical case of integration, while the former refers to the person's adjustment to a Croatian organizational context, and the latter implies adjustment to an old one that has significantly changed while the veteran was away. Thus, I do agree that the CIRS model might be future enhanced by introducing the difference between reintegration and integration processes. Nevertheless, this model can be applied to both of them since its key purpose is to contribute to the person's successful adaptation and integration into creation organizational environment. And I agree with the other remarks made by the official opponent and would like to consider them in my future works.
Thank you. I'm completely satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the floor is now given to the opponent, Professor Olena Grishnova, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor at the Enterprise Economics Department, Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. Please.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, my full review of Liyusi Tagikilanidamandi's dissertation entitled Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration, and Adoption is published on the university website. Allow me to briefly highlight its key points. Having studied the dissertation in detail, I officially confirm its high relevance and compliance with the priorities of the socioeconomic development of Ukraine and the research programs of Krok University. The results are substantiated, scientifically new, fully confirmed by 16 scientific publications. The main contribution in terms of scientific knowledge is the development of the CIIRS system, cultural integration and the inclusive resilience system. The author proposes a new framework for measuring cultural transformation using diagnostic indexes CEI, RII, CEI, TEI, and provides the inclusion is not just a social aspect, but an economic driver of competitiveness. The work demonstrated high theoretical and practical value, sound methodology, and appropriate academic formation. However, I would like to highlight a few discussion points for further clarification. First, government's balance. How does the CIIRS model balance strict metric-based regulation with the organic nature of culture as a living entity? Its question is, I am satisfied answer of Lewis to these questions. The second, digital barrier. Does the focus of digital maturity create barriers for veterans? How does TEI help bridge this gap? Third is to satisfied. It's about industry specificity, and Lewis had answer to this remark. Fourth remark is about ethical safeguards. Does the CIIRS model have a mechanism to prevent veterans from being used as mere resource when humanistic values conflict with key performance indicators? And fifth, peacetime scenarios. Does the model adapt to post-crisis condition, shifting the focus from survival to sustainable development? This observation don't detract from the scientific value of the work, but rather identify areas of further researches. The dissertation does not contain academic irregularities. The research was concluded independently and properly cited. Overall assessment. Ліюси Тагікіланідамаванді dissertation meets the requirements of the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine number 261 and number 44, as well as the order of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine number 40. That is, all current requirements for writing, decision, and defending such dissertation. The dissertation is an independent, completely study that meets the requirements of the specialty 073 management in the field of knowledge 07 management and administration. The scientific conclusions are well-founded and the work fully meets all the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Thank you.
Dear Professor Grishnova, thank you for your remarks, and I want to invite PhD students to answer these questions and remarks also, please.
Yes, I would like to thank the official opponent, Doctor of Economic Science, Olena Anatolievna Hrishnova, for the true work carried out of my dissertation research and for the valuable remarks, recommendation, and suggestion provided. At the same time, some remarks warrant future discussion and therefore require more detailed consideration in order to sustain my position. So I will respond to the remark number 1. Thank you again, official opponent, for the valuable remark. In my opinion, these two approaches do not exclude each other but complement each other. Culture continues to evolve and develop as a result of people's interaction, their shared value, experience, and organizational learning. So one may say that culture represents a kind of living entity and exists and evolves due to various factors. However, any organization in the modern world needs management mechanism that would help its leader understand and shape their organizational culture. The goal of CIRS is not to reduce culture to an artificial construction devoid of its unique nature, but help its leaders where their culture are strong and what threats they may face and work on cultural transformation. CEI, RRI, SEI, and TEI are just some diagnostic indices that help organizations assess their cultural dynamics and makes appropriate decisions regarding them. It means that the goal of CRS is to strike a balance between managing culture and letting it evolve according to its own logic. Also, I would like to respond to the remark number 4. As far as I'm concerned, I completely agree with the view that the process of inclusion veterans into companies should not be perceived from the perspective of economic and organizational efficiency alone. The CIRS approach presupposes that the process of inclusion and inherently based on the nation of human dignity, mutual respect, equality of opportunities, and social responsibilities. The benefit associated with the inclusion of veterans, such as increased organizational resilience, effective knowledge management, and greater competitive advantage, do not necessarily imply that these people are used to help the organization reach certain goal. On the contrary, this effect are seen as a result of implementing practices that are both ethical and productive. The ethical aspect in the case of the CIRS model lies in the approach into inclusion itself. Adaptive inclusivity ethical leadership, creation of positive social environment, and emphasis on well-being of employees mean that an organization should pursue both economic and human goals. Therefore, the inclusion of veterans in perceived as involving in the inclusion of real people with unique experience and valuable insight. I agree with all the other remarks of the respected opponent, and we will take them into consideration in my future research.
Thank you very much for your response. Are you satisfied?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
satisfied.
Thank you. And now the floor is given to the opponent, Professor Galina Zakharchin, Doctor of Science in Economics, Professor of Human Resource Management and Administration Department, Lviv Polytechnic National University. Please.
In the modern stage of social, thank you, excuse me. In the modern stage of social economic development, characterized by increased instability, restructuring, and higher levels of complexity of organization environment, the significance of corporate culture as a key factor of strategic management undergoes considerable resentment. Such a lack of consistency between theoretical developments and practical needs in the sphere in question respected another gap. In such circumstances, the present dissertation by Liyusi can be regarded as an attempt to find an answer to one important scientific problem, namely development and approach to management the corporate culture based in the interconvergence of such concepts and inclusion, integration, and adaptation as elements of the systemic development of organization. One of the definite features of the dissertation by Liyusi is the high level of conception, elaboration, and methodological consistency, which serve as the basis for justified the theoretical fundamental conclusion and recommendation contained with it. One of the main features of the dissertation is the considerate of corporate culture transformation in terms in the systemic nature. Unlike many other studies which regard corporate culture either as a static concept or a description of the state, they also explained is a dynamic system that includes the elements of inclusion, integration, and adaptation and intricate components. First of all, the scientific knowledge of the dissertation is experienced in the creative of general methodological for management corporate culture. Namely, the author proposed a systematic approach called counter-integration and inclusion resultant system. It acts as a tool for diagnostic, realizing, and evaluating the process of corporate culture transformation. The model ensures the consistency of social, behavioral, and management approaches with the research paradigm and serves as the basis for the practical relation of cultural concepts. The second aspect of scientific remotely is the case related to the creation of the index system that allows for the evaluation of the transformation process. Highly made a positively inclined in scientific reviews of the overall merit of the dissertation, there appears a number of topics and issues that might help to further elaborate on the research conducted by the author. The first, while elaborating on the theoretical aspect of the topic or question, the author conduct a detailed comparison between classical and contemporary approaches in the issues of corporate culture, emphasizing the importance of approaching the problem under investigation from perspective of system corporate culture. In order to exchange an analysis, it would be useful to expand the range of the international scholarly studies aimed at analyzing the quantitative inclusion of corporate culture of organization performance indication. The next, the empirical part of the dissertation included an analysis of 20 IT organization units. The analysis is quite adequate science in such a manner it becomes possible to sign our general patents related to corporate culture transformation. Nonetheless, for further differentiation of empirical material consenting sectoral and organization aspect of analysis might prove quite useful and help achieve more real-time result. The next, the approach suggested by the author in terms of methodological basic should be considered a valuable addition to the study of corporate culture in order to increase the efficiency of application of the aforementioned indicators. Further elaboration of mechanism of monitoring of corporate culture evolution would be necessary. The next, the section dealt with practical recommendation pays considerable attention to the matter of training, motivation system, and organization environment as a result for the sake of practical implementation of the recommended measures. It might be useful to introduce some quantitative criteria that might serve as a standard for assessing their adequacy. The next, the proposed model of corporate culture transformation demonstrated significant generation and reusability. However, it further testing on the broad empirical base might turn out to be a rather useful message to enhancing the model itself. All said above cannot undermine the scientific merit of the dissertation. Nor can it have any negative effect on the overall positive evaluation of paper. An analysis of the dissertation by Liयुsi titled Transformation of Corporate Culture Management in Inclusion, Integration and Adaptation shows that the work represents a complete original scientific research aimed at solving a critical academic issues in the field of management. Namely, the paper deals with approach to management corporate culture transformation against the backdrop of social economic stability. The dissertation is carried out with high scientific and methodological professionalism. The subject matter lies to the relevant topic and specialty of 70C management, and the hypothesis put forward, conclusions drawn, the recommendation formulate sufficiently justing and relating. The dissertation corresponds to all requirements set for the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine Resolution number 261, approval of the products process for training application for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Science. Taking into consideration the above mentions, it can be stated that the dissertation, Transformation Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration and Adaptation, corresponds fully to the required standards, and it's also Liयुsi Tagikilani qualifies for obtaining the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Specialty of 70C Management.
Thank you very much. And I want to invite PhD students to answer these notes, please. Turn on your microphone, please.
I'm so excited to answer that I'm forgetting to do it. Sorry for that. I would like to thank the official opponent, Doctor of Economic Science, Halina Mironovna Zakharching, for the true work carried out on my dissertation research and for the valuable remarks, recommendation, and suggestion provided. At the same time, some remarks warrant future discussion and therefore require more detailed consideration in order to sustain my position. Respond to the remark number 1. Thank you for respected opponent for this valuable remark. I agree that the distinction between the suggestion concept of other models of corporate culture enhance the theoretical contribution of the dissertation. Classical approaches to the study of corporate culture by such researchers as Shane, Denison, Cameron, and Keane have provided considerable assistance in defining organizational value, norms, styles, and behavioral characteristics. Nevertheless, classical models of corporate culture mostly aim at explaining this reality and its influence on organizational performance. The distinctive feature of the proposed CIRS is that the fact that is define the concept of corporate culture from the point of view of the manager transformation process, combining the aspect of inclusion, integration, adaptation, and resilience into one complex system. Furthermore, the concept represents diagnostic indicators that can be used to measure cultural condition as well as the transformation process. Therefore, the theoretical contribution of the dissertation is in the development of the new perspective on the discussed phenomenon, namely it extends previous approaches by developing a set of diagnostic tools needed to manage cultural transformation during the period of crisis or post-crisis periods. I would like also to respond to remark number 3. I agree that the sustainability of the suggested diagnostic system depends on the creation of the effective mechanism for monitoring corporate culture changes. The CIRS model was developed not only as an assessment instrument, but also as a cycle in management activities. In particular, the diagnostic measures suggested such as corporate environment index, resilience integration index, social environment index, and training effective index are aimed at monitoring and evaluation. The practical application of the suggested approaches is connected with the ability to create a basic for managing, create a basis for managing a corporate culture through systematic monitoring. In this way, companies would be able to analyze their progress in terms of inclusion, adaptability, resilience, and learning. In addition, by monitoring by dynamics of change, firms could detect some problems that required solving. Therefore, the suggested system is based on continuous improvement when the diagnostic findings lead to informed decision-making and become an internal part of transformation, the company's culture. I agree with the other remarks of the respected opponent and will take them into consideration in my future research.
Thank you for your response. And now we have completed the next stage of a defense procedure. Now, following the regulation, we must publicly discuss the result of a present research once more, and each member of one-time specialized academic council is invited to openly express their position on awarding or refusing to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Tagikilанідамаванді Ліюси. And I want to invite to show the position of Associate Professor Elena Belova, please.
Thank you, Professor Mikos. First of all, after reviewing the dissertation and listening to the candidate's presentation and all her responses, I would like to note that, of course, in today's environment, issues of inclusion, integration, and adaptation are becoming increasingly important for organizations, particularly in the context of social and economic transformation. And for this reason, it was both professionally valuable and genuinely interesting to become acquainted with such type of research. And dissertation addresses important contemporary challenges and offers a structured approach to corporate culture management. And the candidate, Liyusa Tagikilanda demonstrated a good understanding of a subject area and provided clear and reasoned answers during the discussion. And taking into account the relevance of the topic, the results obtained, and the overall quality of the dissertation and defense, I support awarding Ms. Liyusa Tagikilanidamavandi the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your opinion. And the floor is given to Professor Olga Doronina. Please.
Thank you, dear head. Tagikilanidamavandi Liyusi dissertation is independent, self-contained scholarly work that contains elements of scientific novelty and practical significance. For modern management science and practice, the value of the dissertations lies in the fact that it successfully addresses the important scientific problems regarding the transformation of corporate culture, taking into account contemporary challenges related to the employee adaptation, the inclusion of different groups, and the creation of the sustainable work environment. During the presentation of dissertation and the public defense, Liyusi demonstrated a high level of research and communications competences. This dissertation meets the requirements of academic integrity and the requirements of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine for research thesis submitted for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Therefore, based on the foregoing, I support the awarding of the degree of philosophy in the field of management for Tagikilanidamavandi Liyusi. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your opinion. The floor is given to Professor Olena Grishnova, please.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, I would like to sincerely thank everyone for such energizing scientific discussion. Both the candidate's presentation and her clear professional responses to our questions, along with the remarks of the chairperson and supervisor and the members of this academic council, convincingly demonstrates that we are reviewing a high-quality dissertation written by a truly skilled and qualified researchers. I will vote in favor of awarding Liyusa Tagikilanidamavandi the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 073 Management. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. And floor is given to Professor Halina Zakharchin, please. Dear Professor, could you turn on your microphone? Sorry.
Thank you. Excuse me. A dissertation by Liyusi can be regarded as an attempt to find an answer to one important scientific problem, namely development approach to management the corporate culture based on the interconventions of such concepts and inclusion, integration, and adaptation as elements of the systemic development of organization. The practical value of the obtained results is also confined by their implementation in the achievement of number of organizations. The dissertation, Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Industrial Integrate and Adaptation, correspond fully to the required standards, and its author, Liyusa Tagikilanidamavandi, qualified for obtain the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in specialty 073 Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for your opinion. And also, I want to share my regarding for this dissertation. The dissertation of Tagікіланідамаванді Liyusi addressed a relevant scientific task related to a transformation on corporate culture, management through inclusion, integration, and adaptation. The work is theoretically grounded, methodologically sustained, and practically oriented. Its scientific value lies in the development of the CIRS model and diagnostic indicates that allow corporate culture to be assessed as a measurable management system. The dissertation results are significant for improving inclusive leadership, veteran integration, organizational resilience, and corporate culture management in crisis and post-crisis condition. At the same time, the dissertation contains some minor shortcomings, mainly related to the need for more details, clarification of certain methodological aspects and a broader explanation of a practical application of individual diagnostic indicators. However, this remark do not reduce the overall scientific value of a research and do not affect the positive assessment of a dissertation. Taking into account the relevant scientific note, practical significance, and overall quality of the work, I support the dissertation and will vote in favor of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Tagікіланідамаванді Ліюси. Thank you. And now, if anybody else want to take a part in our discussion? No? If not, we we need to discuss the draft of decision of a one-time specialized academic council regarding the awarding of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration, specialty 073 Management, to Tagікіланідамаванді Ліюси. And I propose to adopt the draft decision of a one-time specialized academic council as a basis. And if somebody else will have some notes, you can send it to me and we change the text. We need to make a vote for this decision by raising our hands. Who is in favor? Against? No? Thank you. The draft decision is voted by majority vote. And estimate members of a one-time specialized academic council voting on the awarding of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy following case 28 of a procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy number 44 is conducted through open voting. Please vote. For awarding Tagікіланідамаванді Ліюси the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 07 Management and Administration, specialty 073 Management, I will be ask you and you will be give me answer by voice. Associate Professor Olena Belova, your decision? In favor, against, or abstain? Thank you. Professor Olga Doronina,
In favor.
decision. Thank you. Professor Olena Grishnova.
In favor.
Thank you. Professor Galina Zakharchin.
Yes, and thank you.
Thank you. And I, Professor Inamigos, support and vote in favor. And based on the result of open vote, 5 out of 5 members of a one-time specialized academic council voted in favor, no votes against, and no abstentions. And estimated colleagues, allow me to announce the decision of a one-time specialized academic council regarding the awarding of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusi in the field of Knowledge 07, Management and Administration, Specialty 073 Management. The one-time specialized academic council of Krok University has resolved. The dissertation of Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusi titled Transformation of Corporate Culture Management, Inclusion, Integration, and Adaptation, submitted for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of Knowledge 07 and Management and Administration, Specialty 073 Management, is a completed, independent, scientific study that meets the requirement of a procedure for training candidates for higher education of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Science in higher education institution or research institution, approved by resolution number 261 of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dates March 23, 2016, as well as procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and revoking the decision of one-time specialized academic council of a higher education institution or research institution regarding the awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by resolution number 44 of Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, date January 12, 2022, to award Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusi the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of Knowledge 07 Management and Administration, Specialty 073 Management, to approve the decision of a one-time specialized academic council. And estimated colleagues, allow me to congratulate the candidate Tagikіланідамаванді Liyusi and offer her the floor to final remarks. Please turn on your microphone.
Yes, I did. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to my scientific supervisor, Doctor of Economic Science, Professor Irina Leonidovna Petrova, for her guidance, support, and encouragement throughout my doctoral studies and the preparation of this dissertation. I also extend my appreciation to the reviewer, candidate of Economic Science, Associate Professor Olena Igorevna Belova, and the official opponents, Doctor of Economic Science Olga Anatolievna Doronina, Doctor of Economic Science Olena Anatolievna Hrishnova, and Doctor of Science, Economic Science Halina Mironivna Zakharchin for the professional evaluation, valuable comments, and constructive recommendation. My sincere thanks goes to the chair of the Specialized Academic Council, Doctor of Economic Science, Professor Irina Petrovna Mihus, and all members of the Council for their time, attention, and assessment of my research. I'm also grateful to the faculty and the scholar of the Department of Management Technologies at Krok University for their support and constructive feedback. Finally, I would like to thank you, my mother, my brother, and my husband for their unwavering support throughout this journey. I would also like to honor the memory of my late father, a doctor of philosophy, whose dedication to education and academic excellence has always been an inspiration to me. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, and my congratulations to you. Thank you all for your work, and I think we can decide that meeting of one-time specialized academic council is declared closed. Thank you all for your work, and again, my congratulations to you, Luisa. Thank you. And,
thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for all the work and everything that all of you done for me. I really appreciate that.